Let me ask you a few things about the main event and the finish of the main event, because it's been somewhat controversial online, various fans with various things. Is there a plane going by? I guess so, or a spy balloon, I'm not sure. But
did you piss off the Chinese again?
Quite about that. Any issue at all, any issue with Sami not going over in Montreal, considering that crowd and everything?
Oh, good God, no.
Because a lot of people, I mean, again, it's online and it's wrestling fans, but we're talking about reactions to things. A lot of people lost their shit over the fact that Sami has not won this, didn't win the title and didn't win in Montreal.
If they ever thought he was going to, then they don't know how the business works and they're insane to begin with. They weren't going to, no. In some other situation, I'm not saying they wouldn't have, they put the belt on Kofi Kingston for fuck's sake at one point. But no, not when they had the most dominant heel of modern times champion that it has been a champion for the past 3 years or whatever the fuck it's been, and is heading toward a showdown with the guy that they have handpicked to be the big star of the entire company, not just the shows in Montreal, Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns was not going to do it. He wasn't going to have dinner before dinner. He wasn't going to do a job before he does job. And again, if this was the territory days, if this had been Lawler in Memphis or Dusty in Tampa or Vern in Minneapolis or whatever the case, and Montreal was the biggest city or one of the biggest cities in the territory, and you had a guy that got over like that and got that reaction, then you make the moment. And then you put the belt on the guy in his hometown in the big crowd when that's one of the 4 or 5 cities you run. But they're talking about the entire world. And as much as everybody does like Sami, fans, he's over with all the fans everywhere from Maine to Spain on a choo-choo train. But he doesn't get the same reaction in every other town he gets in Montreal, obviously. And they weren't going to screw up well over a year of planning and preparation to install the guy they want to be the top babyface for the entire world, because Sami got over in this way and has an especially hot crowd in his hometown. So that would have been a great moment in Montreal and a great memory in Montreal, and it would have screwed up the plans they have going forward for months for the entire rest of the fucking world. Does that make any sense now?
There are people who think that WWE should have changed plans, called an audible, whatever it is, in recognition, I guess, for how over and how special a moment it is right now for Sami in Montreal.
Well, those people would be idiots, and I don't want them in charge of my fucking investment accounts.
Did you think they were going to do a Dusty finish when the first referee went down and the second one came in?
No, by the Dusty finish, you mean somehow Sami wins and then it's nullified.
Correct. The people get the big pop and the big celebration, and then a few minutes later, they get deflated with the news.
No, because that would still have required Sami Zayn to pin Roman Reigns for any type of referee, one on duty, off duty, part-time, whatever the case, to count 3, and that wasn't ever going to happen. That can't happen. Sami can lay on top of him all day long with no referee counting, which is what they did and what they got. But nobody will count Roman Reigns' shoulders to the mat before WrestleMania. I don't know how many different ways I can say this to people. That's what they want to do for the benefit of the entire company in front of the entire world going forward with the plans they have. And they're correct in those plans. And yes, they would have loved it if Sami'd won the belt in Montreal, and the people watching at home would have got a kick out of it too. But then, where do you go from there? If you beat him right back, then the people just go, eh. And then Roman drops it to Sami, he's already dropped it, or drops it to Cody, he's already dropped it to Sami. So either Cody would have to beat Sami, or Sami would have to hold it for a fucking year. And does anybody think that Sami Zayn needs to be the WWF champion for a fucking year? No. So,
do you think the idea of Sami and Kevin Owens versus the Usos at WrestleMania Do you think they can get there with an intriguing story as they continue things? And what do you think about the idea that all members of the bloodline could lose their belts on the same night? Or part of the same 2 nights, I guess.
Well, in the same weekend or part of the same group of festivities. That does sound like, but at the same time, I don't know whether I wouldn't even be happy with and Cody reuniting the former friends and and getting them to shake hands. That's a great idea that you just mentioned. Could it be Jimmy and Solo against Kevin and Sami? Because we might still not know what Jay is going to do or not do, and it doesn't have to be for the title because it's goddamn personal issue.
Any disappointment at all in the way they use Jey Uso here? And the way things are still up in the air with him?
Well, him disappearing after... Why did he jump in the ring if he wasn't going to do anything to anybody? What was his intent? And why did he get his mind changed? I mean, he got speared, but then he's gone forever. So I don't know. I like the involvement in that we didn't know what he was going to do, but then when he didn't actually do anything, I'm not sure that, and then you never saw him again. That's kind of a lazy way out. Now that you put a spotlight on it.
Well, that was WWE Elimination Chamber